Hey guys, Manitove here. What I'm going to be doing today is an after action review of my Siege battles from yesterday. What I'm going to do is highlight the comps that I used and go over the reasons why I chose them. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and take a look at the action that happened yesterday. Now in this first comp, I went up against the Sierra, Bastet, and Iris. So I took Veligul, Vanessa, and Leo. The reason why I did this is both Vanessa and Veligul are fire, which have elemental advantage over Sierra, so I knew Sierra would bomb my Leo, triggering my Vanessa's passive. This way, when Leo comes back, I have the ability to one-shot a unit on their side, which is exactly how it played out. I brought Veligul for the immunity, so after I took out Iris, which most people build on a Despair Revenge build, so I wanted to eliminate that one first. The bombs would pose no more threat. The only time that Sierra will deviate away from elemental advantage or elemental neutral characters is if a defense break is applied. So that's another reason why I brought Veligul to stop the step from placing defense break on her skill 2. But as you see, after I eliminated the Iris, Sierra fell relatively easily. This comp really posed not too much of a threat overall. I mean, it's a nice defense, very fast, and even after torrenting with 40k, it looked like that Iris was built pretty tanky, so anything less, it might have survived. My Leo is on a Vampire Broken set right now, but I do intend on getting him on a Vampire Nemesis. My Vanessa is currently on a Violent Energy build because I lack the Will runes to make her viable in like an RTA setting, so I just haven't made that switch yet. And my Veligul is on Bio Will. Now we'll move on to the next match right here. Just looking at the defense, it didn't make much sense to me. All I could see was they were probably trying for a CC, outspeed, strip, and bomb. So I counterpicked against that using my knowledge of the game's AI. Sierra is always going to go after a water unit, barring defense break. And I brought 2 fire units. And this way, the water unit I brought, which was Rena, I knew both Triton and Sierra would focus on, so the only outstanding threat would be Okeanos. I planned on CCing him the entire time via Garo's skill 2 stun and using Rakuni to turn cycle him. And as you saw, I mean, both Okeanos and Triton dirt. Now this arena is sitting on about 45k HP and 100% resistance, which, you know, versus a Sierra on defense doesn't matter. But with the shield and the HP, without attack buff, Sierra was never really a threat. And if she did get my arena low enough, Rakuni would just cleanse the stun and she'd be able to heal herself. It was a pretty easy match, not much of a issue. Even if they would have acted accordingly and used the AI as intended, I still don't think it would have posed much of a threat. This next match, I went up against Sierra, Bastet, and Perna, so I brought Luis, Perna, and the Water King Pisama. Or Phasme, or however you want to pronounce his name. I figured that Sierra would go right after my Fairy King. My Fairy King is on Will, that's why I brought him. Perna would go after the Wind unit, and Bastet would focus on my Perna. And with the 2-turn shield and immunity from Luis, I figured I could buy myself some time to take down that Perna. As you saw with the AoE reset from my Water Fairy King, their Perna doesn't get a second life, which virtually eliminates most of the threat. Then Sierra will bomb my Fairy King, which I did anticipate because I wanted the Rageful Return, big damage, splash damage, and possible stun because mine is on a Will Despair build. But after the Perna drops, there's really no threat on that side. Even if I lose my Water Fairy King, because I know my Perna is just going to be able to take out most Sierras on defense. My Perna is on a violence build, and it's speed crit damage HP. Almost 30k HP before towers and flags. So Sierra is never going to kill, in danger of taking out my Perna. Louise also adds 44% to the attack or their HP, so all the units are relatively tanky. Now in this next match, I pretty much I took a cheese method. Skogul, Amesity, Bulldozer, and they have a Feng Yang, Perna, and Camila on defense. The biggest threat on this side is going to be the defense break from the Feng Yang. And I anticipate all three of these units being built on Bio. So I know I'm going to outspeed with my Amesity. I'm going to make my Skogul move first so he can throw the rock. And then I'll bulldoze the Feng Yang because Skogul's skill 3 divides the damage among remaining targets. So only having 2 targets increases the damage. I mean, simple math. The nice thing is that Perna decides, instead of going after my Amesity, to go after Skogul. Every time Skogul is attacked, we know he resets his cooldown by 1 turn. This time I'm going to turn cycle to my Bulldozer, so I could hopefully get the kill or first skill stun. And then after that, just got to wait for the rock to drop, and Camila's passive holds no bearing over Skogul's skill 3. As you see, 45k damage and easy victory. Now for this next one, I had just built a Water Barbarian King, so I wanted to give him a shot. I brought Chloe because what I'm going to do is just match it to when the Dark Skogul decides to throw his rock up the next turn. I'll go ahead and throw up my invincibility. And then Covenant is just an amazing unit, especially when it's going up against 2 fire units with shield. And see, I first turn with my Chloe. I don't do the invincibility, waiting for the stone to go up. Now that the stone's up, I will go ahead and pop invincibility the next turn. I threw Brand onto the Dark Skogul just to get that extra damage. Here comes Fanatic. Rock drops, I take nothing. I haven't really used the Water Barbarian King. I've seen him in gameplay action, so that's why I decided to build him. It's a pretty fun unit. Mine is on a violence build, and I wanted to try to get a feel for how the unit operates. As you see, even without attack buff, Covenant, ignoring defense, still almost 30k damage. And this is the part that really makes Covenant shine. His skill 1 ignores damage reduction effects. So even though Kamoon's going to be popping the shield repeatedly, because he outspeeds my Covenant, I'm pretty sure by 150 speed. I think my Covenant's only got like plus 47. I still don't have to worry about any damage mitigation on their side. I mean, really the only annoyance over there now at this point is Raccoony and his passive healing 10% every turn, and the possible bio procs that it provides. But as you see, once the Dark Skogul went down, I apologize for not knowing its name because I don't have it and don't use it. It's a pretty easy clear of this 4-star tower, which is also something I don't typically attack because 4-star units aren't my forte. I don't usually give my best runes to my 4-star units. Like my Covenant is on a complete broken set, just maximizing attack and crit damage. And even arguably my Chloe is relatively slow comparative to most people's. Now, in this next match is another new unit that I wanted to try, which is the Fire Sniper. The idea behind it was to get the hidden pose and get a defense break on the Triana. Now I know the defense break is RNG, but I figured I could wing it with 2 fire units against 2 wind units and 1 fire unit, and have the fire unit focus on my 1 wind unit, which was Chasun. Now there's 2 primary builds for Skogul that I've seen. One is Violence and one is Vampire. I had no idea what I was going into, and I found out pretty quickly that this Skogul in particular is on a violent build, and that is inevitably what does my comp in, even with Kamoon providing me some shield, and trying to use Chasun's turn cycling ability to keep my team fully topped off. Like all the other snipers, the benefit of the fire sniper is the skill 1 does ignore the shield and damage reduction effects. So I was hoping that that would overcome and compensate for the Kamoon providing shield each turn, and hoping to do enough damage. But as you see, the Skogul is just putting out too much damage, even for my Chassoon, who is not turn cycling as well as I had hoped to overcome. But as you see there, Triana, no problem getting that skill 2 up again. And here goes Skogul with his little proc frenzy. And after this, it's pretty much going to be game over. I think I lose both Chassoon and the Fire Sniper in the next turn. The Fire Sniper is very interesting and fun. Not going to recommend a build for it. If you're going to build it, be very late game. The general utilization of that unit is not very good. So I don't learn from my mistakes when I attack a defense. Well, I shouldn't say I don't learn from my mistakes, but I'm very hard-headed, and once I lose to a defense, I'm pretty much challenged to go after it again. So this next time around, I brought Lauren, Iris, and Harmonia, and I know what a lot of you are thinking. It's like, where's the damage coming from? And that's simple. Harmonia. Her skill 3 is amazing. What I want to do with this is establish control with my Lauren and my Iris. My Iris is on a Despair Revenge build, so I'm hoping for some strip and stuns, with Lauren's attack bar reduction on skill 1, skill 2, and defense break, slow, and heal block if it ever lands. What I'm hoping for is just to control the Skogul and the Triana on their side long enough for me to get Skogul down to a killable range, and once Skogul's dead, there is really no threat on that side. Even though most Kamoons now I believe are built on a speed, crit damage, HP build, without defense break, it's not really much of a threat. I mean, he can do some big damage, decent damage, but there's no defense break, or attack buff on that side, so there's really nothing for me to worry about. And I can see what this person was trying to do was just stall long enough for Skogul to hopefully get a couple procs like that and wipe out a team, or at least get them low enough for Kamoon's skill 2 to kill a unit. And that's particularly why I brought Iris, who has a passive heal whenever she attacks, and Harmonia's Unwanted Harmony right there. Got a Despair Stun on a Revenge, which is nice. Now what I'm going to try to do right here is set up the defense break, which I did not get, but the attack bar reduction. Here's another stun. Once again, I'm going to try to set up the defense break. Oh, I went for the attack bar reduction on Triana, trying to stop the heal. I got a stun. Now I set up the defense break, so next turn I'm going to try to go in for the kill. I silence the Triana, which I don't get the kill this turn around, and it comes back to bite me because Triana will proc and heal, and just stalling out the match. But as you can see, even with the splash damage and the Vio procs from the Skogul, my team is pretty much handling all the AoE damage it's throwing out, and like I said, with no defense break or attack buff for Kamoon, not really that much of a threat. Now I've already procced Triana's passive at this point, so Skogul is gone. They can proc all they want. I'm just going to keep chipping away with Unwanted Harmony on Kamoon. Eliminate him because he is the closest thing to a threat left on that side. I silence him because that skill 2, like I said, can do some damage. So at this point, it's just mitigation. And waiting out the time for me to finally get the kill. My Harmonia is on a Violent Nemesis build. Not overly fast, unfortunately, because as we all know, violent runes are hard to come by, and violent runes with speed subs are even harder to come by, and violent runes with speed subs and HP subs with decent resistance, you get the picture. I mean, if we all had what we wanted, this game would be a lot different. As you see, the Kamoon drops. So, like I said, this match is essentially over. It's just CC at this point and burning down the Triana. My Lauren, who I believe I did some work on, is on a speed HP build because I use it to, I prefer it a little bit more tanky. I know the most common build for it right now is speed HP attack or speed crit damage attack, but most RTA builds I believe are some sort of tanky hybrid. Now this is where my Siege went downhill for me because, as I said before, I don't do 4-star towers very often. But I decided I was going to try to help out the guild, so I found this defense. Mr. Freeman, we faced him before from Red Coke. He's very well ruined, and I like his defenses, so I figured I'd give this one a shot. My idea behind this one was I would bring the light golem to tank the dark sylphid. It takes 5 hits to kill the light golem. Mine is on a vampire build, so even with the damage being dealt, I figured that he could sustain himself because I am bringing Rauk, which was going to provide a defense break, which would increase the self-sustainability of the light golem. And then I brought the Dark Lich to manage both the light Anubis and the light sylphid. On paper, it sounded like a sound theory. As you see, like I intended, dark unit went after the light unit. I have will and violence on my Dark Lich. Not much of a threat. And this is where I realized the error of my ways, is I forgot that the light Anubis does defense break on skill 1. Now, one thing I normally preach, especially when I'm giving advice to other players, is know the game mechanics because it'll make your life a lot easier. And at this point I failed myself because that was an oversight on my part. So what I thought was a pretty decent comp on paper turned out to be my undoing, because with defense break they're all going to focus my Dark Lich. I don't have any form of sustain on my side, so after my Dark Lich goes down, it's pretty much over. At this point, I'm just praying for procs, which I don't get. And it's over. Now, for this next match, going after the same defense, brought Joltan to entertain the 2 light units, brought Triana to stop Joltan from dying, and brought Kali to hopefully snipe the Anubis. And on paper, once again, sounded like a great idea. So we'll go ahead and take a look at how it goes. Dark Sylphid goes right for Triana. I didn't think about it, and once again I popped the immunity turn 1, which was a bad move because I wanted the light Anubis to defense break the Joltan so everyone would go after him. And now I'm going to go for the snipe on the light Anubis with 79% crit rate and no crit. So even when you build appropriately, sometimes things go wrong. And for the final attempt in yesterday's, Olivia, Bulldozer, or Olivia, Copper, and Diaz. Now once again, I wanted the light Anubis to go after the Diaz. I used the attack bar reduction to make sure he goes first. He fails to land the defense break. Dark Sylphid goes after Copper, and that is the end of the match. So that is my after action review of my Guild Siege from yesterday. If you saw any comps that interested you, please comment down below. I do my best to respond. If you see anything that I did wrong, also comment below. Let me know what you think I could have changed or how I could have made the comp more stable. And I look forward to hearing from you, and I'll see you guys in the next video. You guys have a great day.